I'm gonna let them be.
I'm gonna act like I'm frozen.
Letting the music play out. You're live!
Good tune, Mike.
Good
Great
tunes.
tune.
Good tunes.
We
Oh
can't
my
hear
goodness.
them at all.
Check one.
It
Are you
is
not on? Why are you
Mike,
checking one?
Can we hear the gorgeous Mike Gregorek's voice?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear myself double.
Oh,
I can't. I only hear one of you.
I know why.
No.
Why? Are you taking over the show? Oh, it's a Mike variant. There's a Mike variant.
Well, welcome, folks. My goodness, what a whirlwind of just an adventure.
Right?
Of doing Remark for these 6 episodes. And this is our final, technically, it's this season's final episode of
Right, and we're talking
Remark.
about
Technically,
Black Widow and nothing else.
nothing else. This episode, though, we'll get into it in a moment, but this is our cold open. So
Yeah.
you're supposed to announce when it's a cold open, right?
Yeah, it's good to say it. Use the terminology so everybody knows. They didn't miss anything.
I think my favorite thing about the title of this is that it is for all time, period, always, period.
Yeah.
Which is important, I think. I think if we would have used a comma, I think if we would have used
Semicolon?
a semicolon, a dash, or maybe put it on a second line, it wouldn't have.
All time with a question mark and then always with an exclamation. Huh?
What if it was for all time and then it was
Check.
a Professor Snape gif?
It's been a long, exhausting day. Your troubles just won't go away. One thing that gets you through these is watching cheesy holiday movies. You think that you're above them, but you know that you love them. So get ready to listen. Now here comes Kevin and Kristin. Oh yeah.
This is absurd.
Said.
That's how Mike felt about the series. This is absurd. Welcome to Remark. I am your host, Kevin Reagan.
And I am your host, Kristin Finger, and we are talking all things episode 6 of the Disney Plus series Loki. As we said in the cold opening moments before, why do I have to keep looking at my notes? For all time, period, always, period.
Yeah.
So that's lovely.
Kristin, that fits our wheelhouse, I feel, because for all times, period, always, period, kind of sounds like a Hallmark movie.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
Should we just take that title and write it during this episode instead of talking about the series?
Yeah, let's do that. So here's what I'm thinking. We have a variant who leaves her hometown and goes to the big city, but somebody gets sick back home and she has to come home. We hear is that the movie? It's just happening. Like we say it and this is great.
This is great, Kevin. That's great, and I like your backwards thinking. That she goes to the big city, but then has to go back home. Usually, nope, you were correct.
Oh yeah. That's the preamble. She's moved to the big city before.
You confused me.
Yeah,
For those of you that don't give a hoot's butt about Hallmark, let's talk about Loki this week. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna put my glasses on for this one.
Take mine off. Go ahead.
Okay. So all I'm gonna say is that the new forever Marvel film, Marvel anything opening? Is that like forever
with all the talking?
with all the talking?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it was just for specifically for this. It was just kind of we were opening up the multi-stream at this point. So the
I
multiverse.
understand. No, I definitely understand it. And I thought it like fed beautifully into the opening, right? And even using quotes, I believe, from Einstein in different situations.
Mhm.
At one point, I really thought I heard Han Solo say something, but that's a complete, I mean, that is a multiverse if you've ever, but I'm not sure. I feel so bad that that Mike is still having technical difficulties. So if you
I kind of love it because you know, being friends with Mike on Facebook, that he didn't particularly like this series.
Yeah.
So this way,
Yeah.
Mike's talking to us in the chat. He says, "Hey, can't see me," but we can, and we can hear him, and it's just a mess, and I love it.
It's really great. This is what you get for having really expensive microphones. Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're loud, but we can hear you.
Can you? Oh.
There's
Yeah.
two of you. There's still two. It's
Let's
almost like
talk
you
about-
planned this.
Let's talk about Jonathan Majors while I eat this apple.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Here's something that I would like to express to the folks at Marvel/Disney is whoever is in charge of their continuity team, well done with that apple. Because I've watched it. I watched the episode 3 times and I literally just kept checking the apple to see like, okay, I felt it was something huge, obviously very symbolic with Adam and Eve and him being the snake. But I just was like, oh my gosh, every bite he takes is legit. Like, I want to know how many apples did they go through?
Or Loki.
I don't know. I hope they've watched all the Remark as well. But they're saying Kang was played for laughs, and he would like, or they would like to puke at that. And this is an interesting thing that we can get right into.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Breaking down the episode, but before we get into Kang or He Who Remains or Man in Amazing Garbs.
Yeah, what was his name? Someone's gonna know it. Nostalgic Pod Blast will know it was like Gregory something, like his name as a
first. Yeah. So first of all, top notch. Are we still giving out Oscars for this series? Because
we are.
Still giving out Oscars for this series. And I just feel like the scene at the door where they arrived, Sylvie and Loki, just was lovely. I thought
if people can hear that, that's them arriving at the door. We have a Foley artist.
Little pitter patter of feet at the door. But here's the thing. Kristin has gone, and I'm referring to myself in the third person because, well, why not?
Who will?
But Kristin, oh my gosh, the love of my life is Tom Hiddleston and Maggie Gyllenhaal. I share both of them. I find them both equally attractive, sex appeal, all the things. I have now bumped Sophia DiMartino ahead of Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Whoa.
I have gone down a rabbit hole. I watched in like a day the entire Netflix series Flowers that she was in. Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
But so if you're a fan of Sophia, please watch that series. She does a brilliant performance. It's and also Olivia Colman's in it. So don't.
She's great. Yep.
Oh my God. Brilliance.
The best.
So what did you think about that scene at the door? Because the line where she says, I was pruned before you even existed, just sort of set him, again, he got knocked down, but he got up again.
Never going to play that song.
So many times through this series, But what I love about Sylvie is she is not afraid to just continually knock him down.
Yeah.
And it's putting him in a place that I think is a humble place that he's never like, because his whole life, his brother has maybe said, you're a jerk,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But he did that all for like, I think this other person who he finally found someone he respects that says that to him. That's why I'm getting mad at people out there saying that this wasn't the Avengers attack on New York, Loki. No, you ding dongs. People grow, they change. And that can happen literally by meeting a person, let alone many people, that necessitates an entire series of Lokis.
Close one. Yeah. I mean, in episode 1, Loki gets a Christmas Carol, right? He sees like his past, present, and future. Mobius Dickens him. He's quite the little Dickens himself. And he, you know, especially, and it's always been my problem with the Christmas Carol is Scrooge never really changes until it's still that selfishness, until he sees his own death. And when Loki sees his death at the hand of Thanos, and that plays very heavily on him. But then there is something to be said about the fact that he is offered, and I mean, I know I'm jumping way ahead from the door here, Kristin, but he is offered by He Who Remains the opportunity to kill Thanos. And it's like, that's a big deal, and he doesn't take it. And I almost think there's a lot of changing going on between Loki and Sylvie, where I think Loki himself is starting to trust people less, except for maybe Sylvie herself. But and I don't think he necessarily trusted He Who Remains, but I think that he was curious enough to see how this was going to play out. I'm with you, Chris. I like the series a lot. I think it delivered. In my opinion, it delivered. There are a lot of people who don't feel that way, but it's been very weird because I know.
I think I'm back without echo. I don't know. I have no idea what I actually changed or did.
Did you change your opinion on this series?
That changed while this happened.
Yeah, no, there were 2 Loki. I think I had my divergence. Divergence? No.
That's a different series, but
yeah.
Shailene,
hey, I'm back. I wanted to make fun of For All Time Always, and I feel bad I didn't get an opportunity to.
We can do it now, Mike. We're still here. We're still fine.
They never even said that phrase, like, ever, and then established it as a thing. They said it once. All right, let's talk about...
And there were posters. No, hold on. We are going to skip by, Mike. There were posters everywhere on the wall in the TA that stay For All Time Always.
They also, I think, said it twice in the series.
Yeah, I know.
Nope, it was 3 times. 3 times. Because
it didn't feel established. It didn't feel earned in the last.
I don't think Mike actually watched the correct show.
No, he did not.
Amelia, I'm with Nostalgic Podblast. I got to be honest. Nostalgic Podblast, tearing it up. Amelia Casella Stowell says Sylvie did amazing. Jedediah Williston says at least they kissed. I'm interested in what your thoughts are.
Yeah. We'll break that down.
People were definitely like, didn't want to, a lot of people didn't want them to kiss, and then they did. And anyway.
Well, you know what? Let's do it. Mike, can you bring up L3?
I just got my sound set up.
Let him just breathe for a minute.
Breathe.
We're not there yet.
I'm kidding. Do you want to go for it?
We can talk about it.
Yeah,
because
do it.
Chris brings up a very good point where Sylvie does say to Loki, you know, I was pruned before you were born, which makes this kiss, like, which I was totally fine with, even though they kept saying that there would be no romance. I mean, like, he's crying as they kiss. This is not romance. This is like, this is desperation. This is basically, we're going to die. You know, she throws him back through a portal to the TVA, right after this. But knowing that she is significantly older than him, because we know he's like, no, we don't know when she was pruned before he was born. It could have been weeks, and then that's fine. That's fine. And it could be a December, June situation. That's fine.
Are you about to tell me that like their multiverse age difference bothers you?
It does, and here's why. She is one of the Golden Girls. I'm speaking your language, Kristin.
What?
He is now Quentin Tarantino as the Elvis impersonator, and they've mushed them together, and I'm a little weirded out by it. That's all. I just wanted to bring that up. That's
I
a great
don't believe in
episode.
any of that theory that you have that you just shared with us. And so I definitely understand the frustration that folks in the queer community may be having, that we finally have these two characters that outwardly say that they're bisexual. However, we have to just watch this heteronormity sort of situation unfold yet again on screen. And
it was very Soap. It was like the show Soap, if you've ever seen Soap, where you had gay character and a lesbian character, and they were a couple because they pretty much hated everybody else. And like, well,
might as well.
It was
I thought
weird.
you were going to start talking about the RDJ movie Soap Dish, because that's a good
ooh,
one.
no, it was
Anyway,
not.
Kev, we should remark that. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I definitely support the feelings that the community has. And the interesting thing that I'll share my opinion on is that, to me, she was literally using this moment to distract both,
Disarm him.
to disarm him emotionally and physically, and to distract he who remain, because he wasn't watching that she was grabbing the tempat. So to me, this is like a Black Widow sort of moment of using a weapon that she has.
Oh, I thought you meant peel the face off.
She can no, but like using, like, I hate to use sexuality as a weapon, but if you got it, use it.
Yeah.
And
I use my sexuality as a weapon every day.
Kevin is a dangerous weapon.
Yeah.
But so this kiss didn't bother me because I knew immediately when it happened. I knew exactly what she was doing, and I was like, "Oh, this girl, I like her."
Because there is also the argument that, I mean, we can say it because hopefully everybody's watched it. Loki is sent to a different timeline. Like, he's not sent back to the timeline that he came from, so we have no earthly idea where he is.
I don't know. Oh, Kev, you're getting into all the questions that I have because, hey, let me finish my kissing talk.
Oh, please, yeah.
The thing also, okay, Tom Hiddleston can kiss a woman on screen, okay? And I have seen Sophia can also kiss a woman on screen because she does it in Flowers. Both can kiss somebody, and it is sensual. This, however, I feel as though was directed not to be. And because it was not. First of all, I rewound it about 900 times. And it's not. They literally, they turn and maybe like a slight detach and then put back. There's no, it didn't bother me at all. My uterus didn't go, like I would expect a kiss to be with two of the most gorgeous people I've ever seen on the planet.
Is it because, as we see in the picture, Tom Hiddleston's face is mushing in? This is almost like a Piggy Kermit the Frog kiss.
No, I'm fine with it. Also, like right before she kissed him, I need to capture this and put it on my TikTok because I'm getting real big on TikTok. But there was like a single tear that like drops off his face.
You can see
not
it.
on this side, not on this side. It's on the other side. So he's talking and it just goes bloop.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's when I started getting emotional.
Yeah. Kristin, real tear or CG?
Real tears. Are you kidding me? That is a dramatic actor.
Just asking.
Skilled thespian.
So, I hate to do this, but let's ask Mike. Mike.
Let me just go ahead and get another photo ready. This is L4 from me. Because here's how I felt about the kiss. Yeah, right there. Remember how fans reacted to this one? Can I come on for this? I'm gonna come.
Yes,
on.
please. You can always come on.
You always.
You're in the between. I love it.
Yeah. This is how. I was hoping. I thought we were gonna make a different choice. Disney / Marvel / Star Wars / Nat Geo. This is how it felt. The argument for this kiss is very much the same argument that you made, Kristin, kind of for the Loki Sylvie kiss, is that it was not meant to be sexual, or you know what I mean? It was meant to just be like, oh my gosh, we got through this, like let's embrace. And
Yeah.
it's just tough. It's just tough to buy that. You know what I mean? And so I felt very similarly. I didn't hate it as many people hated the Kylo and Rey kiss, but it reminded me of that moment of like, I didn't
need that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
but
that's
I appreciate it as a tool for her in that moment.
Sure.
I don't think I'll go back on my theory that those two are the most sexy people I've ever seen in my life. And you would assume that I would be like, yeah, like, wow, with them kissing. No, they were that. It wasn't that. I didn't feel any sexual tension whatsoever in that moment. If they would have kissed when they were at the door.
Or if they actually kissed on Lamentus 1.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, oh, cute, whatever. But like, again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Have people seen Crimson Peak? That man can kiss a lady, even if it's his sister. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars, yeah. I mean,
Spoilers.
Hey.
So Kev, you brought up a question before I needed to talk about that kiss for about a half hour. So thank you for letting me have that.
Of course. Yeah. Chris, you have many questions on your pad. We don't have a bumper for Chris's questions. Mike, could you hit us with some song or something?
Chris's questions for Kristin's questions. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not just Kristin has questions, but apparently the questions are for Kristin. So in the chat, please ask any question at all.
Questions. If you have questions about me, about my life,
why? Yeah. Whatever, wine pairings, you name it, just put it in the chat.
Whatever you need to know, I will answer your questions. But you also have to answer my questions.
Yeah. Go on.
Question number 1.
Oh, man. I didn't realize these were numbered.
Do we think that Sylvie understood using a new temp pad that she'd never seen or operated before, knew where she sent Loki, and follow up, is that place, is Mobius and B-52s, are they still...
I still love that, yeah.
Are they still...
Yeah.
In another timeline waiting for our Loki, or is this them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Loki's the bad guy in the timeline that B-52 and Mobius are in. So M3 and B-52, like, because he never says he says, oh, you're an analyst, what's your name? And he never says it. By the way, how amazing, I know it's not an answer to your question, but how amazing was that heartbreak of a moment that we knew Mobius wanted to be friends with Loki, or we hypothesized, and in the end, it's Mobius who doesn't know who this guy is. And it's just like, and it's very Thanos. It's the Thanos moment of, I don't even know who you are. And it's like, oh my God.
So the moment Tom had that scene where he's just by himself after being thrown through the door, that like close up of him, and he does this thing with his like eyebrow when he realizes, and in that moment he just realized, I'm alone again.
Is it this? Is it The Rock? Does he do like a people's eyebrow?
What's he cooking? But then it gets even closer, and then his eyes close, and he's like, wait, Mobius! And then they go find out, no?
Yeah.
What day is
it is. It's that moment in Back to the Future when Marty goes and has to find Doc because he's got to go back to the future. Like, and then we're like, oh, now it makes sense. Now the title makes sense. So when Mobius is like, wait, when Loki's like, wait, I know Mobius is here for all time, always, and he runs. Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Mike.
I don't know if I earned it, but
Mike, is anyone answering my question that if they think that Sylvie knew where she was sending Loki?
Nobody cares.
Okay.
No. There was some like stuff. I'm just kidding. There was some stuff back earlier, just more specifically about the moments before that. But nothing.
Sure.
No one responding just yet to that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I don't think here's the other question. I'm going to say Kang for argument's sake. He is not Kang. Nowhere, it's not listed in the credits as Kang, but I'm going to say it because it's so much easier than constantly saying He Who Remains. But I think that Kang also could very well have manipulated her. You say that she stole the temp pad without, and it was a distraction. Did she? Like, did he allow it? And
he literally like took it and was like, here's a temp pad. And
yeah,
then was
divide and conquer. Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah. So,
Nostalgic Pod Blast thinks your point is good. That Sylvie did know where they were sending Loki, like to an alternate timeline. You know what I mean?
An alternate timeline. Because I think that she still needs him and still wants him to be a part of this. And that's a great place for him to be because he's in the know.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Sure. Maybe that was her timeline. Maybe, no. That doesn't make sense.
Question two. Okay. This is in reference to the, where'd it go? Oh, Kristin, write your things. The threshold. We have crossed the threshold. Okay. So obviously when we cross a threshold, that means the line has reached the red line and we can no longer fix the time. But my question, and this might be really dumb, and this might be just Kristin not understanding time travel beyond Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but what caused that Nexus event that caused that threshold in that moment in that time? Because,
right. So I it almost feels like he was waiting for that threshold to come too, like he knew it was coming, and it does coincide when Ravonna Ravenslayer actually leaves.
Yeah.
So because I actually thought that was her showing up, and she didn't. I thought she was going to show up in that time, and she didn't. But so. Maybe that's the Nexus event that caused that. I don't know.
I'm glad that I was like, did I miss this? Did them enchanting Eliath cause this? Did you know what I mean? Like, but he knew up until that moment. So I was like, well, wait a minute, what happened in the world that caused this? Because he knew it was going to happen, and he didn't change it because he knew that Loki and Sylvie would be there.
Yeah. Is it possible that in the world, based on the timing, that was the moment when the Avengers are all eating at shawarma? They're all that was the Nexus event. Because we all thought it was going to be Subway, and it wasn't. And we were like, whoa. Multiverse.
I think. Do you think that it's going to be like it's something that will happen in an upcoming movie? You know what I mean, or like has yet to happen, or did happen? So does some has the Nexus event already happened, and then Doctor Strange 2 have to deal with it, or is it still coming, or are we going to see it as like a backstory?
Right. Is it something that happens in Spider-Man?
Was it the Scarlet Witch?
That happens in Ant-Man?
Yeah. It's hard, so it's weird because again, the way time works and it's TVA and stuff. That's a great point. Could it have been something that happened in WandaVision? My problem with that is WandaVision happens way at the end of Endgame, whereas everything that happens in Loki is happening after New York. So, but again, it's time is.
But it's exactly, I don't know. Can we pull down the time chart? It's just splatter. It doesn't make any sense to me. My brain hurts. And I like that about this show.
What else you got, Chris?
Chris has more questions. The other one is, do we think that season 2 is already filmed because of Tom Hiddleston saying on February 9th, 2021, when he celebrated his 40th birthday, that he was playing Loki on his 40th birthday, and he thought it was cool because he also played him on his 30th birthday.
Yeah.
So because they say that shooting for season 1 ended at the end of 2020, and this was February 2021, were they already shooting season 2? Or do we think that he was shooting Doctor Strange then? What do we
Great
think?
question. There is also the possibility they were just filming pickups. So it's possible.
No, you just made it so lame.
I know. I'm just throwing that out. So what I have heard is they start shooting in January for season 2. So I don't know. It's possible they were already shooting some things. My assumption, I don't know if it's the same creative team. That's what I said to my wife. I assume it is. It's Kate Herron's going to stay on and Michael Waldron's going to stay on. It would be weird if it wasn't, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question though.
Does anyone have thoughts on that, Mike?
Yes, I have some thoughts. I think it's not to be the boring one, but I think it could be a scene in a movie, for sure. I do think maybe there was some stuff that they just saved as well. You know what I mean? And maybe we'll reveal, like, you know, they'll use in season 2. It felt very like maybe there was some stuff that they were like, "Ooh, do we put this at the end of season 1 or do we wait for season 2?" So it felt like the ending felt like to me. There, I was kind of hoping for a more exciting like bumper, like, you know, something that they kind of dipped on a little bit. So I feel like they were holding something back. I don't think season 2 is complete. Nostalgic Podblast agrees because of COVID. It feels like it could be a while.
True. And the other folks were sharing like images that were in the trailer but never seen in the show. But that's common.
Yeah,
Marvel does that a lot. Yeah.
I've been in a movie, but you never saw me because they took out my scene. So
I have too. I've been in 17 movies because they just keep cutting me out.
I'm a really big deal in LA, but they just cut my scene, so you never know.
You've been cut from LA. That's why you're subjugated to Philadelphia.
My final question is this. I tried to blow it up as best as possible, but while the B-52s were in the high school where Ravenclaw was, did anyone else see the degree on the back? She went to The Ohio State. Is her real name, like, do we know that her name is Rebecca Tormellant or whatever? I couldn't make out the wording of it. It was Rebecca something.
Torme? Do you think she's Mel Torme's like great granddaughter? That would be sweet. I would be into it. The Velvet
I knew
Fog.
Who that was. Yes. That's
if the Velvet Fog turns out to be the big bad in the MCU,
Kevin, I don't know what you're talking about.
Google it. You'll be fine. And then listen to every single song just to make sure that's not. No, don't worry about it.
I don't think I want to go on that journey. But so here's a question. So I noticed that, but then when they brought them back, that was in the year 2018. Yeah. Correct? So my question then is, does that mean they went to 2018 knowing that she had not been pulled from her universe and become a variant yet? So that was before, that wasn't another timeline, right? Like, I was just trying to figure out why they went there and why I was a little confused by that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, I think she was taken from that timeline from 2018. And then, because again, you have to remember that the TVA is for all time, always. So that time, it is always, it is constant. So
no, that's okay. So it doesn't matter that like Avengers, like, came out before. Yeah. Okay. So if time doesn't matter, then great, I'm down. But if time matters and I do my math, splatter. Like, I just don't understand what's happening.
I know we this is where we would do our H3O, and we're going to do it in a minute, but I want to do our hate 3O for a minute because I want to give Mike a chance to just have his say, because I've known Mike a long time, and I know Mike hates a lot of things. I think he hates this series. I know he hates the Phillies. I mean, we've had deep conversations.
Oh, yeah, that's easy. That's obvious. Yeah.
Probably hates children. I don't know. We've never.
I run a summer camp for kids. I was there today.
No, so Mike, seriously, I want to give you your say, because I've read a lot of people were disappointed in this series. I was not. Obviously, Chris was not. But Mike, I'd like to.
Things that I liked about the series, I thought the acting was really well. It was great. I thought some of the design, all of the design was very cool looking. The worlds that they created. I thought Jonathan Majors was very good in the last episode. What was confusing? Everything that Kristin just asked was like the questions that I had every episode. Was like, why does this matter? Like, does this matter or doesn't this matter? Like, why is this cause not causing this effect? You know what I mean? And I think they could have went two ways with it, and they sort of were waffling in the middle. I think either be a total time bending crazy mix 'em up, which maybe is what we're going to get in like multiverse and Spider-Man and things like that. And like, just let it be so absurd, because that's what Loki, he's, come on, he says it, so absurd, or he gets offended by things being absurd. So how funny would it be to just see Loki just popping into all these different timelines, having to deal with like what was going on there? I know that's like a played out storyline, but whatever, it would have been fun to see it. It felt very linear, but in a non-explicitory way, where there are all these questions that don't necessarily make any sense. And my fear is that all of those questions that Kristin had are not going to get answered at all. They're just going to go into these episodes and be like, there's multiverses and there's Kang, and now like have fun. You know what I mean? It just felt like a weird, like bad, like the MCU is a like fantasy novel that has like 10 1,000 page books, and this was like that one like 5 or 6 in the middle where you're like, I liked watching it still, but it didn't really answer anything for me. It felt like,
so that's another thing Mike hates, Game of Thrones. So there's a lot of things Mike
just the end. Look, I mean, come on, I loved Game of Thrones. I just hated the end of the TV series.
I do personally think that they will answer a lot of these things. I would not be surprised, and I hate to say this, but I would not be surprised if Loki season 2 does not come back for years, because it might be the button on the end of phase 4. And if that's the case, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come into play. It's not on any timelines as far as what Kevin Feige has presented or Disney has presented. So we have no earthly idea. It could come out. I mean, to Chris's point, if they had filmed it, could you imagine the mind bend if they did this episode this week? They release the Spider-Man trailer, and then next week they go, by the way, here's season 2 of Loki, and it just picks right up, and people are like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
I actually think the marketing hurt it. I think that WandaVision was very successful, and Falcon Winter Soldier had its issues, but was like very successful. And then someone watched Loki and was like, "Oh, this is like a different mood."
The detective,
and they sold it like, "Oh, no, it's not really going to be that." So we all came in as fans just confused, which is tough. I also think the teaser, every Marvel movie except for Endgame has a thing after the credits to just throw up a title card that I could have made with like Loki will return. That summed up my sort of like overall feeling. I was like, yeah, Loki, all right, let's move on to the next thing. I felt very like, let's move on. You know what I mean?
I do wonder if they like, I have so many questions about time that like when you split it so much, like I saw a theory on TikTok that someone was like, I don't even think Loki, like I think Loki was just, this whole TVA and this whole situation is just on a whole separate thing and doesn't have anything to do with anything that happened in any of the Avengers or any of the movies thus far. And like I was like, like, because I went and watched Black Widow and I was like, holy crap, she's been through some shit. I came home and immediately watched Infinity War because I wanted to watch like that no. But like, I needed to, right?
Yeah.
So like and then last night I started over again. I put on Iron Man because I was like, I need to see if like me watching Loki affects me watching these again. Like that's a journey I'm going to go on with myself.
There you go. It's like kissing yourself, Kristin. Well, this is the time. We've done it in 5 of the 6 episodes. So if you are tuning in and wondering, will they do it again? Yes, we will. This is the time when we would like to objectify our lead male character. Michael?
It's time once again for Hiddleston Heartthrob Hunkiness Objectification H3.
That was the best one.
That was it.
Best one.
I hope we're recording this because we'll just use that from now on. Oh my goodness. Yes, so of course, my goodness, it is time to objectify our male lead, played by Tom Hiddleston.
Wait, hold on. Let me look up his name. What is it? Tom
Shut
Hiddleston. We got it. Yep.
So we rate Tom 1 out of 10 hornies, and it's how horny are you feeling? And usually we just like to, base it off this image from the episode, but as a whole in this episode, but also like, how did his pants fit? How did his shirt fit this episode? Because I have thoughts on that again, and I have theories. And did he get your motor rolling? Kevin, I always love to start with you.
Tom
Hiddleston's looks and performance. We'll add a little bit of performance.
Yeah.
In this episode. And folks at home, please put in the chat 1 out of 10 horny so Mike can report to us how horny you feeling.
This clearly, based on this photo, is my favorite Hogwarts defense against the dark arts. I mean, like, he just looks fantastic. He had been teaching potions for years. He wanted that gig. He finally got it. Look how badass he looks in that.
So good.
So he's staring down the next big bad in the MCU universe, even if, again, this is not that true version of Kang to come. And, to Nostalgic Pod Blast's point, I don't think that's who this is. We will get a variant, and he even alludes to it. I think I'm rating Kang right now. Jonathan Majors alludes to it, that, here they come. The worst is yet to come. And it is not him. So, but looking at Hiddleston here, or Loki here, he looks badass. He's got his sword. It's Zelda. Zelda has achieved everything that Zelda set out to do. And that is all I ever ask of a character, which is why I am giving him a 10. A 10.
Whoa. All right.
Yeah.
10 hornies.
10 hornies.
Michael, how about you?
Oh no. All right. I think I ranked this look the highest that I ranked Tom Hiddleston so far because of the strap-on, as we all discovered last week. Yep, he's got the tight shirt, the loosened tie, the strap-on. If he had daggers, if he had two like Loki daggers or some size, I don't know. No.
Do you want him to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
Yeah, no. If he had some Loki daggers, I think I would have gone a 10 here. If the candles in the background didn't look like they were like light bulbs. Yeah.
They look like they're floating. That's part of Hogwarts. That's Hogwarts lore.
All right, but he does definitely look more. I love the bulging sort of forehead. Like the stern look. He means business, so it's got to be higher than before. So I can't give him the full 10, but I'll give him a 9.85. 9.85.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I think this is the best. I think this is the best Tom. He had to sit there in that pose for at least 40 minutes while Jonathan Taylor monologued, but he looked good the entire time. 9.85.
What are the folks at home saying, Mike? What are they?
Nostalgic Podblast is sort of taking my role over as total hater. Gave it such a good fan. Has watched every show, but
thanks them at the top of this.
Get ready for this, Kristin. This is gonna potentially ruin your night. They gave it a 7. Nostalgic Podblast gave it a 7, but then quote, Tom is clearly handsome, but I see wrinkles on an immortal. This is just real life. Yes.
On the shirt? Because I agree, but it's okay.
All right. Here's the thing. All right. Thank goodness men age better than female folks do, because this man right here is perfect. All right, down to every wrinkle, down to the scar from him being drunk and hitting a door, down to his receding hairline is perfection, okay? So now I am back on my theory that the wardrobe department has given him a tighter and tighter fit t-shirt every episode, because when they walked through the doors, his pants were tighter because we saw things, and his shirt was tighter.
Yeah.
Because it literally was just spray painted on, and I was like, hi. There was also a moment where he like did this, and then to look at how dusty it was.
Oh yeah.
To any lady out there, we got excited when he did that with his hand. Anyway, that's for another show. That's a different show.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give him
a little spicy.
It's really spicy. Also, someone on TikTok photoshopped him with a man bun, and I had 3 babies. So I'm always going to give Tom a 10, but I'm going to give him a 10 plus today because I really appreciated his performance in this episode. The acting was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give him all my Oscars because I give out Oscars to TV shows. So that's my rating. And overall score is a 10.
Ooh.
It's not a shock. It's not a shock. And I get that he's handsome. I get that he's a total thirst trap. I get it out there. But the thing about it is I don't waste my time with just good looking people, or I might be like, oh, I love this person. I love that. They're really hot. Blah, blah, blah.
Chris wouldn't hang out with Mike and I. I mean, it's just...
It would be difficult. It would be very difficult. But the talent is also what's giving him a 10.
Yeah, we did get a performance rating of 9. Photo 7. So just...
That's okay. That's fine. Average together, it's a 10. That's fine. I did my math.
16.
Yeah.
16.
Mike, you got to take us out on that song because I got to hear your one last...
That's very true. And so here we go. That was our very finale. Hiddleston, heartthrob, hunkiness, objectification, H3.
That one sounded like you just... Ooh.
Yeah. New pants. New pants needed.
For all time, always.
Always.
Yeah, so I think now would probably be a good time to play our very last bumper, which is our theories, and then we'll just theorize.
We'll theorize.
Let's do it.
Bumper.
Back to you.
Awesome. So, any theories that anybody might have, not just on... I mean, obviously, this series, the series isn't over, the season is, but where we go with the MCU going forward, go ahead and put it in the chat. Chris, do you have any theories?
Mine were mostly in the form of a question, which no one has answered any of my questions because those are where I'm struggling to have a theory because I've read so many. One of my favorites that I read was that Mobius is a variant of Tony Stark. And that's...
Looks a bit like his dad. He looks a little bit like John Slattery.
The logic of people is just creative and amazing. Yeah. So I guess my big theory is that Sylvie knew what she was doing by putting him into another sort of portal. And... that she's not gonna think it was a mistake. So that's my theory, is that this was still her trusting him, and that she never actually lost trust, and that their whole thing was a performance for this monster. However, what they don't realize is that obviously he was telling the truth, and that it's going to get a hell of a lot worse. But that's kind of my theory, is that there was no question, but he believes that she questioned him. But now that I think he's back in this other world, or in this other timeline rather, he literally says, we ruined it. So I think he hasn't, hi New York City. I think he hasn't, stopped, wanting to be partners with her, or he would have said I messed it all up, but he said because I think he knows in a weird way. Is that a theory? I don't think
sure. I mean, that you still feel he's partnered with her, because I actually feel he might turn against her. I'd said a couple weeks ago, or maybe even last week, I said, I asked the question, do you think he'll stab her in the back? And you stopped talking to me for a week, but I do. I like that she didn't, or he didn't stab her in the back. And I like that he's lost. I like and especially that Mobius, he didn't go to the time, he doesn't have his good friend. And
it's interesting because when you say that he's lost, in cases where Loki has felt lost in the past, assumably this version of Loki, he has gone to anger and conquer. So in this moment, he chose not that, but now he's forced. He just keeps being forced with
part of his growth.
This choice, right? So I'm going to make the assumption that he is going to continue on this growth path,
Yeah.
And but that's my theory.
Here's my theory. I'm gonna make the assumption that Nostalgic Pod Blast is going to think, that's a great point. He did grow and now love the show. And that's
a good theory.
Yeah, it's a crappy theory. No, here's my theory, is that by next weekend, and I know that we have been nerding out for this forever, we are finally going to get the Spider-Man trailer that they've been holding up, because you can't have a crazy multiverse with multiple Spider-Men if you don't have a multiverse. So,
Right.
And I mean, I know it was fan-driven. Boss Logic, if you don't follow Boss Logic, I mean, he's, fan theory, but he also works for the MCU now because his stuff is so popular. But those pictures of Spider-Man showing up, you have various Spider-Man, it's just, and fan-made posters I've seen. It's definitely that idea of, I want it so badly that I don't know what I'll feel if I don't get that. So,
well, the thing that I think I've mentioned, I'm really a big deal on TikTok, but the video that got the most views was like of my husband. That's not fair.
So he's a big deal on TikTok.
He's a big deal on TikTok. But the someone leaked. They were like, they leaked a trailer for it, but like I couldn't tell if it was like spliced together fan images which I think it was.
It was.
But I'm very excited for that trailer. And I guess this is my other, it's not even a theory, it's a wish, is that Tom and Benedict Cumberbatch get to be in Doctor Strange together, because first of all, bromance, like just friendship of, being in so many plays and
IRL. You're talking IRL friendship.
IRL friendship.
Yeah.
I just think that the tiny moment we had with them in Ragnarok was not enough. So like I want more, and I think it would be. I feel like Doctor Strange's chemistry with this version of Loki now would be very fun to watch, because he's not just angry. I don't know. I want to watch that chemistry, that dynamic of those.
Plus, we need more hair flips. We're running low, so
he did it. He did it in this one, and also so many people have been putting the Black Widow voiceover of like, what do? You do that thing where you pose and you.
I love that.
They've been using that voiceover with Loki doing, what do you do with your hair? It's so good. It's so good. Mike, anyone have theories that you have?
We do. Nostalgic Publis also is curious about Black Widow and sort of where that's going, because they loved Black Widow, and then says the Fantastic Four's alternate universe, the Negative Zone, may be seen before we actually see the team itself. But they thought they were hoping for Doctor Doom as the big bad here, and did not get Doctor Doom. Gary Copestick Jr. says, "Sorry, I'm late," and then just said we variant of Loki, haha, all the Lokis. Loki meaning all the Lokis. We, haha. So Gary is clearly drunk or something.
Gary, put down your children and hand them to Melissa and just watch our show. He's like, his children are typing.
He just went like Loki, haha, Loki, all the Lokis. He actually might be the closest to the actual theory. You know what I mean?
He's actually writing a script for the next episode.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because some folks' theories, along with Gary's, clearly, is that the season 2 will be like Kid Loki and the other variants of Loki, and that's
Gentleman Loki, Elder Loki.
Elder Loki.
Yeah.
So maybe Gary's right. Maybe.
Yeah. All the Lokis,
all the Lokis,
That like all the single ladies.
The Lokis, the Lokis.
All the ladies in the place. I think it's like a DJ thing. It's like a DJ tag, like all the ladies.
I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss any other of my things that I wrote down. And to speak back to nostalgia, there's a piece of hair that is wisping. To Nostalgic Pod Blast, sort of like Kang's performance equals puke. I actually appreciated it, because what I liked about it was the moments of this person has clearly been alive for a very long time and is losing their mind. But then when they're centered, and he answered questions like, well, what are you afraid of? And he like took that moment and said, me. But then when they questioned him again, he like went back into, I just really liked sort of, again, acting the juxtaposition of the levels of that character to me. Because they were clearly like on the brink of madness. Ooh, New York City. Was that Black Widow rolling through?
Yep, on her sister's bike. I would never speak for anybody, so Nostalgic Podblast can comment on that if they like. But I would almost assume that what they were saying is the idea of what we know of Kang from the comic books, and if that's Kang,
got you.
It would be like if we were introduced to Thanos, and the first time he's like juggling.
He's like knitting a sweater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because and I'm sure that Thanos, who cares about resources and stuff, has knitted a sweater. But do we need to see that? Is that the first time we see them? So I don't know.
No, I hear that. I love that we're just like we're discussing something we don't know what Nostalgic Podcast.
And again, we could ask them to clarify, but let's not do that. Let's just.
I like our break.
Yeah, I'm ignoring their defense right now. Not reading it all up. If you'd like to see Nostalgic Podcast defense, head to our YouTube channel at Wizard World, where you can follow along with the comments live. But they definitely meant it the way that you clarified it at the end.
So that's it, man. That was our season. It was a very brief season, a mere 6 episodes. Since it is for all times always, we'll just keep coming back, and Mike can't stop us. We have the link. I assume Mike will show up and just continue to put us on week after week. So tell us what you want us to talk about next week. You can find Kristin Finger on Instagram, on Twitter when she's on it, on Facebook, but she's probably not going to give that out, and TikTok at Chris and Cats.
That's correct. And I also can find Kevin Reagan, your hero Kevin, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook if you want to find them. But also, Kev, before we leave,
the t-shirts. Yeah,
Kev gifted me this glorious porpoise t-shirt. Mike's got lost in the mail, clearly.
Mike.
Speaking of t-shirts, I have worn 3 items that I have purchased from jordandean.com, and Mike will put that. I have it in the chat here, Mike, so if you want to throw it in those
chats. Already in our 3 chats. Just dropped it.
Have an amazing company that makes the best nerd gear, but they love Loki themselves, so they have like a whole Loki section. So I wore my glorious purpose shirt. Nice. I wore my glorious purpose hoodie. So there's a lot of gear that you can get there, but I also have a Black Widow, sort of like She's Not Alone from Infinity. It's just really good stuff out there. So please check out.
Super comfortable, super comfy.
It's like the soft stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So they've given us a discount code Remark15, and there is no expiration date on that. 15% off.
That's fantastic.
So buy me and Kevin everything.
And before Mike hits plugs, if you want to check out another podcast that I do, and Mike has been a guest, and Chris has been a guest, I do a podcast called the Punch Up Podcast, where we invite people on to tell a story, and then we have a cast of characters who try to help you tell that story. We don't help. We derail. It's like having a bunch of drunk people come over and you're trying to tell a story. You can find that at the Punch Up Podcast on SoundCloud and wherever podcasts are available.
Mike,
and I need to reply to Kevin as recently emailed to me about that from a week ago. But before I do that, we are Wizard World. Check out everything at wizardworld.com. We have a Harry Potter panel coming up this week, Discovery of Witches in 2 weekends. Tickets are on sale for Chicago. It's right underneath me. Visit wizd.me/Chicago for 2021 tickets. We'll be in Chicago October 15th through the 17th. Get your tickets now. We're about to announce talent, but we're going to kick it off with some of our cosplay guests. So stay tuned to social media over the weekend for that.
Mike, speaking of Wizard World and Mike, Kevin and I want to thank y'all for letting us use this platform to do our show. This has been a dream come true. So thank you, everyone, for watching, and thank you, Wizard World, and thank you, Mike, and thank you, Jazz, for always putting out the social media. Y'all are amazing.
Oh,
It's
well,
been such an experience.
Thank you. And you all watching either live on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, or later in the week. If you would like to see Kristin and Kevin come back virtually or live in person, all you have to do is send an email to oops.
It's been a long, exhausting day. Your troubles just won't go away. One thing that gets you through these is watching cheesy holiday movies. You think that you're above them, but you know that you love them. So get ready to listen. Now here comes Kevin and Kristin. Oh yeah.
Thank you.